Are you the parent of a child who's been diagnosed with a disability? Or you've been told there might be a difficulty or delay in your child's development? Do you feel isolated? Are you hurt? Do you think there's no hope? Well, today I'm going to share strategies on how you can support your child and support yourself also. Welcome to Inspiring Women TV. Talk about how you started from being a volunteer and now you're a Lord.
Yeah, I started volunteering. I volunteered in a housing co-op actually in Newham, and it taught me an awful lot. And I would recommend volunteering for everybody. Really, it's a good way in. It's a good way of understanding what really happens in your community and in the world.
How's Johnny been from being an air hostess to
a
not so secret millionaire?
I know. I think the secret millionaire story is almost, I won't say an aside, but I think it was just to try and bring out an understanding to people to say what your dreams are like. You know, we can create our world of possibilities. We have the remarkable ability within us. And so it's
a different type of product, a more community-based product, where you can interact with Jamaicans in the communities, experience the local cuisine within the communities, and speak with folks and have a truly cultural experience.
Hello, thanks for joining us today. My name is Akudo. Today I have a message for parents of children who have been diagnosed with autism, speech and language development delays, or any disability. This is an issue that is prevalent in our society, but it's not usually spoken about in public or maybe in your church or your local community, especially if you're Black or you're from an African community or even ethnic minority. The feedback I've got from a few people is that it's new, it's not what we talk about. We try to ignore it. But the thing is, a lot of parents are suffering. A couple of years ago, I was sponsored by the British government to do a master's in early years. It was called the New Leaders in Early Years project. It was to train exceptional graduates who had leadership qualities to lead practice and make a difference in the lives of children and families. And I was passionate about making a difference in the lives of children, young people, women, men, and families. And I quickly realized that, yes, there was support for children with disabilities, but there was hardly any for parents. And that's how I decided to start Inspiring Women, the program, the TV program, and also reaching out to people one-on-one. I realized that every baby is born and there's joy in the family, but there's no manual that comes with a baby. When you buy a new car, there's a manual. There's something that tells you how to operate this, how to do this when it happens, or there's a helpline, there are contact numbers to call. But when it comes to a baby, you're left with this bundle of joy. And yes, it's a bundle of joy. You're happy you have a newborn baby and you carry the baby, you're excited, you're happy. But you think, okay, yes, every other child develops. It's just part of life, and we all grow and develop. But suddenly, you begin to notice, oh, there might be something wrong. My neighbor's child is talking at this age, and my child is not talking. Or my child is supposed to be working at a certain age, but he or she is not. Or you might not even know, you might be new to the game and don't even know that your child at this point is not developing as well as he or she should, especially if you're a first-time parent or you're a teen parent. And it doesn't matter what age you are. You might be an executive or professional in your business, and you think, oh yeah, I'm good at this, but when it comes to children, we're all learners. We all learn As a parent is growing and developing, so as a child's growing and developing. And maybe you go for an appointment and the doctor says, I'm afraid your child is not developing as well as he should. Or there's a speech and language developmental delay. And you're wondering, what do I do at this point? I've had a few parents say to me, oh, I never knew there was something called autism. It's never happened in my family. You know, we've had a long lineage and we've never known there was something called autism. There's an illness or a disease or developmental delay. Or they think, oh yeah, it happens with the firstborns in my family. First boys don't speak on time, or first children. All of these myths. And we believe them, or we think, oh no, it can't happen to us. It happens to that family, the people that live on the wrong side of the tracks, but it can't happen to our family. But you're faced with this reality. And it doesn't matter where you live. Actually, in America, a parent actually said to me, oh no, I live in America. This can't happen to my child. This was just a couple of weeks ago. And I thought to myself, and I also spoke to him and said, it's not about where you come from or who you are. Life happens. Things happen every day. On your street, on my street, in your corner of the world. You might be living in a mansion. You might be living in the ghetto. It doesn't matter where you live. Things happen. Life happens. And so you're faced with this challenge. You have this child. You love this child so much, and you don't know what to do. Well, this is not medical advice, but these are strategies I've learned in working with parents in different communities in the UK, and also interacting with parents in the US and in different parts of the world. I think when you're faced with a challenge, the best thing to do is to get all the information you can get. What is autism? Yes, if you go on Google or Wikipedia or any of those research sources, you get a lot of information. And not all of them is right, but I think most importantly, do your research. Don't bury your head in the sand and think, no, it can't happen to me. Think about it. Do your research. Find out all you can so that you know what you're dealing with. If it's autism, if it's a speech delay, if it's a disorder, whatever it is, don't bury your head in the sand. Because the longer you bury your head in the sand, the more difficult, it takes to intervene. There is early intervention. And I know that there are people that say, oh, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. But I think as a parent, you're your child's best advocate. No one knows your child better than you. Face it, life happens. Things happen every day. The Bible says it rains on the just and on the unjust. It rains on you if you're in America, it rains on you in Africa. Wherever you are, it always rains. But the sun always shines. Wherever you are, no matter where you are. So now you're faced with this challenge and you don't know what to do. I've shared a few strategies with some parents and I think it's important to share it here now. Do your research. Find out all the information you can get from the doctor, from reasonable sources. Sometimes you might even find that parents are your valuable source of information. Find out what worked for them. What is this about? What is autism? Autism is the social and communication disorder. But if it's diagnosed early, then you can begin to intervene. You might think, oh, I'm a Christian, and this is not supposed to happen to me. But the good thing is, God is good and He is faithful. He will come through for you. But don't think, oh, because I'm a Christian or because I'm African or because I come from a royal lineage, it can't happen. So don't bury your head in the sand. Find out all you can about it. Do your research. Ask questions. Be bold enough. I know in some communities, they think, oh, it's mental illness. We're not supposed to talk about that. It's not acknowledged in your church, in your community. But this is the life of a child we're talking about. So you should take it seriously and face it head on. Find out all you can from notable sources. In the UK, there's a National Autistic Society, and there are parents who also form groups. Find out from these parents what worked for you. Don't hide, don't be in denial. Find out what worked for that parent. It might not work for you, it might work for you. But I think we should all be willing to face this head on. Some parents are actually more experienced in this than I am or than other sources of information like professionals or doctors and nurses. Find out. Don't try, things that are not ethical. I have to say that because it's important. But I think you should really, really find out what it's about and how you can intervene. Some people say there's no cure for autism. Some people say there is a cure. I'm not here to address this debate at this time. But I think it's important that you know that every child is important and every child matters. There might be hidden treasures that your child possesses and you do not know. You don't know what the future holds. So don't give up on your child. Do not give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't throw your hands up in the air and say, oh, it is finished. Life has thrown me a bad deal. You never can tell where you can find out on that street where you are at the moment. You might think, oh, no one understands. But believe me, it's not better to die in isolation. Someone actually said this to me yesterday. You're indecisive. You don't know whether to go forward or whether to stay where you are. But why don't you be like the 10 lepers and maybe take a step of faith, move forward. If you need to pray, yes, pray. If you need to believe, but also take a step forward, take a step of faith and do something about it. The thing is, you're your child's best advocate. No one else can understand your child. No one can speak for your child. And if you really look at it, you're the only one your child has. The doctors, nurses, other professionals have the best interest at heart, but you're the one who is your child's best advocate. So it's time for you to stand up, man up or woman up, and face it. And when you're sharing information, find out from people you can trust. Don't talk to people who will look down on you or belittle you or who will tell you, oh no, that's abnormal. Find out people who share the same focus, who are willing to go a step ahead with you and for you, who will go the extra mile. Find out from people who are on the same page and who understands what you're going through, because believe me, and I know, no one understands what you're going through. No one can speak up for you. I've seen a lot of mothers in pain. No one understands. But on Sunday morning, they get up, wear their makeup, and go to church. And the church might not even understand what you're going through. I've had a lot of women say to me, no one knows how it feels to have a child who is nonverbal, who does not speak. No one understands what it means to go shopping at the supermarket and your child is being disruptive. And you get those looks from other parents who think, oh, you're a bad mother. No one understands what it means to be a mom whose child is violent. No one understands. And it's more difficult if your child is nonverbal because sometimes they don't know how to express themselves or their emotions. And you're there trying to figure out, what does my child want? What need? How can I fulfill this need? No one understands. Or in a social gathering or in a church where it's supposed to be really quiet. And that's the moment your child decides to throw a massive tantrum. And no one understands how shameful you might feel when other parents begin to look at you, judging you. No one understands. I've had parents say that to me. I've even had a mom say to me, if I had known, I wouldn't have gone through 7 rounds of IVF to have this child. If I had known. Because society judges us. Society puts responsibilities on us without understanding that we have issues that we all face, that no one understands and no one can bear that cross with you. But you know what? You're not alone. Don't die in isolation. There are focus groups, even on the internet. There are groups that people form, common interest groups, who come together to talk about these issues that they face. So find out if there are parents who are on the same page as you and see how you can work with them. Spend quality time with your child. This is not the time to go partying. Yes, it's important. It might not even be the time to start up a new business. It might not even be the time to change careers. It might also be. But you have to do what is right for you and your family at that time. Because it is a time of great strain and stress for families, especially when you've received a diagnosis. I've seen parents, I've seen women, who lose their marriages because the husband can't bear it or the wife can't bear it. So it affects your relationships. But you need to make time for your family. You need to understand that, this is an issue that has come up and it has to be faced. And you need courage, you need to be brave to be able to face those challenges as they come. Spend time with your family, take time. Spend quality time with your child, even if it's 5 minutes a day. I know sometimes you might be overwhelmed by all that is going on around you and you don't know how to share that love that you feel for your child. But you need to spend time. Take time for yourself. Because like they say in the plane, put the gas mask on yourself before you put it on someone else. You need to make out time for that child, one-on-one. You might have other children. Then you need to devise a way to spend time with each child. Give each child enough time. And I know that sometimes also, because there's a child with a disability, it might also affect other relationships with other children. It might seem as if you're giving that child all the attention because of all the appointments, all the things you need to do, all the information. It can get overwhelming. But you can do it. That's why you're the parent of that child. You can do it. You can do it. And there are other parents who have gone through that same, stretch of road. Learn from them. Find out, how do they do this? You might learn little strategies. Even if it's 5 minutes, find out the child's interests. What are your child's interests? If it's a ball, it might be just sitting on the floor. Don't be too afraid or too ashamed or too clean to sit on the floor. Just sit on the floor and enjoy your child. You might be rolling the ball. It doesn't have to be expensive. There might be things you can do together at home. If that child begins to see that you're showing interest in what his own or her own interests are, then he'll also begin to respond. There's something called intensive interaction. And that is you working together with your child. It's you mirroring the interests of your child. So for instance, your child is blabbing, ba, ba, ba. You can mimic that child and mirror it and say ba, ba, ba. And the next time you can say ba, ba. And before you know it, the child will actually say, Mom is actually copying me. And it turns into a game. That's just 5 minutes of your day. So it might be ba today, it might be ba, ba, ba tomorrow. But be consistent. Take out time, take out a place, and have a date with your child. Just sit down on the floor, on the chair, whatever interest your child has. Just copy that child. This might be an opportunity for you to bring out that child in yourself also and play those games you used to play like many years ago when you were a child yourself. It's important to actually spend time with your child, with your family. Spend time with your husband or your wife. Don't be too overwhelmed by the diagnosis and all that is happening around you that you won't even have time for your family. If it means getting a babysitter, if you can afford one, get a babysitter and spend 2 hours with your partner. Find out, how do they feel? How can we walk this road together? This is not the time to get so absorbed in yourself and all that is happening that you lose yourself and you lose that relationship. Because believe me, you would need that relationship. You will need that support. The support might not even come from your partner. It might come from your mom, from a sister, from a neighbor. But find support. Like I said, don't live or die in isolation. The other things you can do, go outside, take a walk in the park. Little things that don't cost money. Take a walk in the park. If it's a place that you go and you think that people are beginning to judge you, you know what? Let them say it. Doesn't bother you. It doesn't make a difference. Because they're not going to walk this road with you. Spend time taking a walk, playing with animals. It might be the trees, it might be the squirrels, it might be anything that you see on the road, but it's important that you take that time. Another strategy I can share with you is also adding another word. If your child is verbal and says ball, points and says ball, you can copy that child and say ball. And the next thing you can do is to say black ball if it's a black ball, or red ball. It's not about teaching colors, just about adding another word. There are different ages and stages of development. And listen, this is not the time to get involved in baby Olympics and find out whose child talks more, or whose child walks more, or whose child walks more than the other. This is not the time for you to listen to your mother-in-law saying, oh, at this age, my children were doing that and that and that. Yes, let them say those things, but you have a goal. Just stick to the plan. Know that you're the one who is your child's best advocate. There are many more strategies I will share with you when we come back. Thank you. You're welcome back. Today is the first part of a series on supporting your child if you have a child with disabilities or a speech and language delay or disorder. Earlier on, I talked about how it's important to spend time with your child and not isolate yourself, but to seek advice. It's important to seek professional help and advice from the doctor, from the nurse, from the speech and language therapist, from the psychologist, from your child's school, from your child's teacher. It's important to seek professional advice. Find out all you can. Find out about services in your local area, in your borough, in your own corner of the world. Find out reputable sources, and don't forget to always make sure you get the correct information. And yes, you might get generalized information, but it's also important to tailor the services and information to suit the needs of your own family or your own peculiar situation. It's important not to miss any appointment. There might be lots of appointments, but make sure you meet each one. Do your very best. There might be help available where you are, so find out. It's important to engage and interact with professionals. Ask questions. Be the authority on your child. Be the expert on your child. If you go for an appointment, find out what the doctor is saying, what the plan is for the future. If it's a dietary intervention that you need, find out all you can. Find out about tests, about appointments, about services, about the school your child will need to go. Speak to your child's teacher each and every day as much as you can. Make sure that line of communication is open so that your child knows that you are the expert and you're there. You're your child's best advocate, like I've said earlier on. Take notes, ask questions, make informed decisions. Don't miss any appointments within the best of your ability. And be on time and punctual. And sometimes you might not even agree with what the professional is saying, but it is important that you engage and know that everyone is working in the best interest of your child. You might need to seek a second opinion. You might need to go abroad like someone did recently. I'm not saying you should do that in all cases, but always seek professional advice and expert advice for your child. Don't give up. Even if they say there's no hope, push the boundary a bit. There's something called postcode lottery where a service might be available in a local area, but might not be available in another area. Find out all you can and see how you can access those services. Some might be walk-in, some might be by referral. Then ask for the referral. Don't be afraid, don't be intimidated by titles. You're the expert, you're the one who knows your child the best, and you're the one who will, at the end of the day, live with that child. So it's important that you know the names of medication, the appointments, what they do, the side effects, and also find out if your child has any allergies. If they do, What should they eat? What should they not eat? Inform the school, the nursery, a babysitter, anyone who comes in contact with your child, and is important, because that might be the difference between life and death. You have to always have your hat on all the time. Know what is happening. Take a note with you. If there's a little progress, like for instance, if your child says a new word, write it down. At what age do your child start speaking? Write it down. Know all of that. In the UK, there's a red book or a blue book or a black book, whatever book it is. Just always note down the stages and ages of development. You can even compare, okay, and say, okay, for instance, at a certain age, maybe at 13 months or 9 months or 12 months, a child is supposed to be doing protodeclarative pointing. Protodeclarative pointing is where a child indicates his needs by pointing. And so if your child is 2 years and hasn't started pointing, but now I'm stretching it, but if at a certain age, your child hasn't started pointing to indicate his or her need or interest, then you might begin to wonder, okay, is this right? Then you ask from professionals, should my child be pointing at this age? Should he be blabbing? Should your child be responding to your reflex or smiles at this age? And this is not a cause for concern or worry. Now, I'm not saying, oh, go and be worried about your child's development, but I'm saying also try and be on top of your game when it comes to your child. When we come back next week, I'm going to give you practical examples, things to do to support your child's speech and language development, especially at a young age. Don't forget, you're not the only one in this world who's going through this. It might be difficult. You might need to call up someone, but please, 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 don't live or die in isolation. Yes, sometimes it's difficult. I'm not going to tell you it's not difficult. Sometimes your neighbor, your spouse, the next person to you might not understand what you're going through. But it doesn't mean you should give up hope or give up at all. Because there's life and there's light at the end of the tunnel. Someone else has walked through that road which you're treading upon. Just keep going. Each day, get up and keep going. Keep moving. We all face challenges. Yours might be your child's health, it might be my own health, it might be someone else's finances, but it rains everywhere on the just, the unjust. Someone says, all flesh is grass, whether it's the bishop, the pope, the reverend, the president, all flesh is grass. And we all have our challenges. It's not just you. So you know what? You need to brace up. You will brace up. You will face this challenge. You can do it. I believe that you can do it. If you need help, call someone. If you have questions, you can ask me, and we'll find support. There is hope where you are. Thank you for watching Inspiring Women. We'll be back next week.